Welcome to the first ever Free Lunch Studios official, formal, moderated debate. My name is Steve Canaris. I'm one of the owners of Free Lunch Studios, for those who don't know me. And tonight, our debate topic is The Man of Steel and the movie The Man of Steel. And we will have both sides presented on whether this movie was great, whether it was terrible, or something in between. The way this debate is going to work is our two debaters are going to be introduced, after which they will have opening statements followed by questions from the audience, and then at the conclusion of the debate they'll get closing statements, after which the audience will vote as to who won this great debate. So is everybody ready to begin? All right.
All right.
The first.
Yeah! It's our first debate! Yeah!
All right, so cue the music for the first debater.
Should this be playing while I'm doing it?
Sure, it's live. Your music is on, my friends. All right, everybody, Mason. Woo! And his opponent for this debate.
That is the Superman theme song. Such a better movie right from the get-go.
This is Oliver. Okay, who will begin your opening statement?
Oliver Stan.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so... Alright, so... Okay, so... Let me start by saying that stating what I believe is the obvious. Aside from our age difference, the biggest factor that sets apart the opinions that Oliver and I have about Man of Steel is that of our opposing views of the older Superman films, specifically Superman 1 and 2, starring the late Christopher Reeve. I hold the opinion that these films, while undeniably influential in both the character of Superman and the superhero film genre, are not terribly outdated in terms of the scale and the tone that people like myself come to expect from a 21st century film adaptation of a godlike being living among us. Superman Returns, released in 2006, had the potential to bring something new to the table, like Batman Begins did the year before, in spectacular fashion. But director Bryan Singer made the grave mistake of paying tribute to the older Superman films and tried desperately to have it be a part of their continuity, which was, in my opinion, a vain attempt. But now, with the release of this year's Man of Steel, the window of opportunity for Superman to be taken seriously in a modern context was open once more, with director Zack Snyder and screenwriter David S. Goyer being given the reins to guide this project to success. As I saw it, they succeeded greatly. Superman was finally given the things he was deprived of on celluloid in the past, but now needs in the present. Grittier tone, fittingly epic scale story, and glorious action sequences, at the sacrifice of some of the things that fans of the older Superman films have held dear or felt were irreplaceable. Hence, this debate. With that said, my primary stance on this debate is that the Superman film franchise was in major need of an overhaul, and that Snyder and Goyer's reboot did the job splendidly. I feel that the perspective of a younger viewer of Man of Steel, who also happens to be well-versed in the key Superman comic storylines, is the key to unlocking the enjoyment that can be had by older viewers who are still attached to the older cinematic incarnations of the character. I hope that can be successful in conveying that viewpoint during this debate by playing the role of that young viewer. Thank you.
He's not wearing a mic. That was all him. He's not wearing a mic. Very well done. And Oliver, your opening statements, please.
I didn't actually have a fully written opening statement, but I'll just talk from the heart. Mason is correct. I am a fan of not just the original movies, but also the Superman character. And the problem that I have with Man of Steel is it's not a Superman movie. They got the character completely wrong. It's not even called Superman, and it doesn't even have the Superman theme song. If you like alien invasion, disaster porn, go see this movie. But if you want to go see a Superman movie, I'm sorry, you're going to be disappointed, as I'll point out during our debate.
All right. Okay.
All right. Opening shots fired. Who has a question? Walk it up, please. And
Here Jim approaches from New Britain, Connecticut.
just introduce yourself to the camera, please.
Okay, my name is Jim. I've just moved here from Texas to New Britain.
Excellent, Jim. And your question, who would you like to respond first? Mason. Okay.
How does Man of Steel compare to Christopher Reeve's Superman?
Well, it seems like with Christopher Reeve, that was like of a certain time and place, which means like it was kind of safe, kind of like nowadays I think it's hokey, but like it was just basically like humor, lots of humor, just lots of like lighter things. But with Man of Steel, it needed like a more grounded tone because it fit the attitude for our time. You know, like we've had so many more mature Superman stories that like need like here's somebody's talking. Okay. That need like the serious tone because like he's so powerful, but yet we need to convey that through seriousness. So that's about it.
Okay. Rebuttal?
So, the original movies, once again, you've got Superman as a character that we all love and can look up to. This man was a hero. He goes out of his way to save people's lives. You know, even as the portrayal in, say, Superman Returns, you still see him blasting debris with his eyes and he's going from A to B because nothing is more important to him than saving lives. One of the most appalling things I found about Man of Steel was he seems to go out of his way to endanger people and kill people. He throws someone into a gas station, causing an explosion in broad daylight with people inside. I'm going to assume they're dead. He knocks over skyscrapers time and time again, has no regard for human life whatsoever. That's not Superman. First and foremost, you got to go out and save lives. If you look at Avengers, one of the things they did was right from day one, Captain America comes out and says, we're going to limit this to a small block area. If the aliens try to leave, we're going to herd them back in, and then we're going to take on the bad guys. Safety first.
Very good. Very good. And Mason, would you like a rebuttal?
Yes. Well, we don't know if anyone was in that gas station, first of all.
You're right. No one's in there in broad daylight.
You saw people around. They gave you a viewpoint of those people around. But no, like Superman, like it seems like with this one, like I said, they were trying to amp up the seriousness. So first of all, he was too busy duking it out with Zod just to have it like paying attention. Sure, he saved that one guy in the helicopter in the middle of Smallville, but I think it just needed to set the grittier tone with more destruction. I feel.
Okay. Very good. Next question. Anyone?
Dovetails into previous thing.
Okay.
Right.
Ask of Mason, please.
I'm Peter Copietro, and why did Superman have no regard for the people and buildings in Smallville and Metropolis when they previously established, in my opinion, his altruism at the oil rig scene? So he does seem to care, but why not in the city of Smallville and Metropolis?
Well, it's like I said before, where like he was so caught up in the middle of the combat that I felt like what Zack Snyder was trying to do is create that sense of like frenzied, like I'm in the middle of this now, like I gotta get it done. I mean, it's funny because like when they first announced Zack Snyder as the director, I thought, oh, they're gonna use the slow mo to slow everything down in terms of his super speed and whatever. But I like the fact that he changed his style to suit it more like super fast, like quick and zooming or everywhere. But anyway, I just feel like it just created like the kind of like the dire, like the stakes at hand. I mean, sure, Superman would have like. It's debatable whether Superman because at the last like moment where he's fighting Zod, like some of the city's been evacuated already. Like they crashed into a building that was an empty office building that could have been debatably had people in it. But bottom line, it just rose the stakes. I think it just created more of an impact for him. That's it.
You bring up an interesting point, Pete, and one of the problems that I had with the movie was the scene in Smallville. The establishing shot of the whole fight in Smallville is you've got Superman on Main Street, and then on either side, for miles, as far as you can see, is cornfields. You could have had that fight anywhere but right there next to that Sears building. And he did nothing to try and save people's lives. It was like, I don't care. I'm not Superman. I'm just here to beat people up. Superman tries to save lives. He tries to move the fight away from where people are. Once again, this is not a Superman movie. They got the character wrong.
We just received a text from the International House of Pancakes saying that they had to fight. Because we spent a lot of money to make sure that your rebuttal, sir.
Okay. Like for me personally, I'm more open to like interpretations of characters that are already iconic. When we've seen already like something that of an interpretation of a character that we've seen so many other times, like they're following the same formula. So for me, I'm more open to the fact that like they change things about the character, and I like change about like that. So.
Okay.
I'm Jeff Bushy. My question is Clark Kent relevant?
Yes.
course.
All right.
Oh.
Very good question.
Absolutely, Clark Kent is relevant.
Well, he's gonna have his time, and then he can call up either before or after for the rebuttal, or for the you can call up someone else to help you with the question.
All right. So I would say Clark Kent is absolutely relative, and the reason I say this is, throughout the time we've known Superman, he has grown up. He has had the ideal life, right? I buy into a superhero who wants to save our way of life when he's got great parents, he's got a girlfriend, he's got something that he wants everybody to have. That makes sense to me. One of the problems I had with the movie was they went away from that. There's no reason to have Clark Kent when he's wandering the planet for 33 years doing nothing. I think that when you have Clark putting on the glasses in the very last scene of the movie, you quite literally have the movie backwards. Clark is what keeps him grounded, keeps him connected to the human race, because if you have powers and you're just flying around and being by yourself, you're gonna get disconnected. And I feel that Clark is too important to the character to not have him be part of Superman.
Mason, your rebuttal.
Well, it kind of relates back to like my whole openness for change. Like, I mean, I'm glad they did incorporate it at some point in the movie. I think it was fitting that they put it at the end, just because they had that. For one thing, it took out that whole element of like him. Like, well, for one thing, like no one besides Lois Lane saw Superman up close. And the military doesn't go into Daily Planet anyway. Like Clark Kent would be interacting with Daily Planet. So anyway, my point is that they turned the whole Lois Lane Clark Kent thing on its head, where Lois now knows who Superman is. As soon as she looks up, it's like, that's Superman. He's just wearing glasses. So I think that kind of got rid of the dumb, like, oh, like, why can't Lois Lane see that's Superman, even though she gets saved a bunch of times? But yeah, she works with Clark Kent every day. So, yeah.
All right, rebuttal.
I think that you need to have Clark. And you need to have him brought up the way that he's been brought up in prior movies and in the comics. They brought him up like he was Peter Parker. Like he was a freak that was picked on his entire life. Everybody hated them. They poured beer on his head. You know, even the guy on the fishing boat called him an idiot and pushed him out of the way. That's Peter Parker's origin. And we all saw that Peter Parker used his powers for selfish gain because he grew up being crapped on his whole life. Superman has a good upbringing. It makes him who he is.
Very good. Thank you. I'm going to ask a follow-up question. I know it might be out there, but the question, and we'll start with you, Mason, is what depiction of Superman do you feel is the one that is most relevant to you? And you can touch in the question, what was your first introduction to Superman?
Okay, well.
And this could be comics, TV,
Oh, yeah.
or whatever.
Well, my whole basis for like why I was so looking forward to Man of Steel was because I always felt Superman now should have been really taken seriously with some weight to his powers. Like in the comics, they have that where like they just oh yeah, he can do that, like he can do that, and yeah, he can easily do this, so we need him. But the thing is, like, I was always bothered just with the Christopher Reeve movies and Superman Returns. I just relied on the whole lighthearted, like, just kind of like campy side of it, and I just really. So my first introduction, I think, was I think it was the first Christopher Reeve movie, and I might have liked it at the time, but when I read more comics and I loved how like they took the weight of the character, I'm like, this is what I'd like to see in a movie, you know? And I felt, yeah, Man of Steel really delivered on that for me. Maybe not 100%, but just like in the overall vision, I thought.
Okay.
So my favorite Superman story is called For All Seasons. They really
I love
hit the
that one.
character correctly. You've got a couple of different perspectives showing why Superman is Superman. My first introduction to the character was probably, once again, the first Superman movie. And I was the right age to watch that. You know, I was a young kid. I was 6 years old. It was fantastic, you know. I don't think you can show Man of Steel to a 6-year-old. You know, and that makes me sad, quite honestly.
Well, again, it has to do with like the attitude at the time. Like 6-year-olds are going to see like Transformers for Christ's sakes, and that's even more, I think, more unsuitable for them than I think Man of Steel. But yeah, I think it's just like I said, it's the attitude that's made in now. I think it's a different time of when the first Superman Christopher Reeve movie came out. So I thought that's it.
Okay. Next question. Anybody? Got a card? Pete, our timekeeper. Peter
Oh,
Pac-Man Roar.
Peter, the timepiece. Given Superman's list of powers, can he still be a dramatic character? In other words, is he too powerful? This is more of like a story, pacing elements kind of question. Does he have too much?
And that would be if they don't. All right.
No, I mean, because the bottom line is, it's, once again, Superman's bigger danger to him is that someone might fall and die. It's not about personal harm to Superman. It's about harm becoming to anyone that's around him. You know, having those extra powers and being an inspiration to everybody is what makes Superman who he is.
Okay. I think like when you're given the right material, like you're given the right story, I think you can work around like this so-called like omnipresence of Superman. You know, like if you just give him a simple story, it's like, oh, he can do this in a flash, and that's 5 minutes worth of story. But I think with Man of Steel, it's like I said before, like they raise the stakes with the global, or at least the citywide destruction, and they pit him against like a villain from his past who's come back to haunt him. So, and at the same time, it was sort of an origin story. Like they kind of glossed over the more obvious points, but I think it handled it pretty well in terms of the scale of the Superman mythos and stuff, and kind of provided that kind of tension and scope and scale, the action, at least for me.
I actually kind of want to do something different, throw you a curveball for
Sure.
a second here. Can I ask Mason a question?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. I'll allow it.
So, the Kevin Costner scene where he dies.
Yep.
What do you do in that situation?
Well, I mean, I got the gist of why it was there. Like, I got why Kevin Costner allowed, like he said, Clark to like stop, don't save me, because because Clark held on to his father's belief, like if I expose myself, I don't know what it'll do. Like it'll probably change the planet, make it better for worse, but I just really want to keep it to myself until the time's right. So I think he just trusted his father, and I think it wasn't until he met with the hologram with Jor-El that he finally found his mission, and he's like, great, now I can actually use it that I've been keeping in so long, even though I've been like using it sparingly to save other people, but I just haven't shown it to people, but now's my chance. So what I would do in that situation, I would probably like do it maybe like stealthily. Like I'd probably like say, hey, like I'm Clark, like with all those people, like, hey, I'm going over there, like get something, and then maybe like zip by, save his father, and then do it. But that's just me. But from a storytelling standpoint, I thought that was effective what they did in there.
See, the reason I bring that up is that's one of the scenes that I absolutely hated with the movie. As a 19-year-old, I would probably have done the exact opposite of what my dad told me to tell me in any day, but given the fact that my loved one's life is on the line, I'd have been out there no matter what, and I think most people would have said the same. I think this notion that Kevin Costner tells him basically to be a coward, to say, hey, it's not worth risking your secret identity over the course of someone's life, I think is the wrong story to tell, and I think that's one of the core problems of this movie.
Okay. We're going to have another question, and Mason, if at any point you wish to address Oliver directly with a question, you have that right, okay? Travis.
Well, I'm Travis Sage. I'm from Granby. And I'm going to go a little off on this question a little
Sure,
bit.
yeah,
We were
ask
a
whatever
little
question
bit.
you like.
Who was the best Superman in the movies that you guys are aware of? Why?
Is it your turn?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, even though I kind of voiced my my distaste for the originals, I do admit that Christopher Reeve is a good Superman. It's just that he was just the kind of like he captured the image, like the live action kind of like attitude and personality. So I will give him that. But it's just that, I mean, Henry Cavill or Cavill, I think. I just like I said, it fit in with like the tone, and he kind of was more distant, more detached, and a little bit more like alien, which I think is appropriate. But and he had some bits of humor, like he tried like to be light in the interrogation room, and it's kind of hard to toss up because like, I mean, Henry Cavill's portrayal I think fits in more with my vision of Superman. So maybe by a little bit I'll go with him. I think.
Okay.
It's Christopher Reeve. There's no doubt in anyone's mind. This is probably a little young or young audience for this, but the tagline for the first Superman was, "You will believe a man can fly." And he did that. He pulled it off. It was not a time where you had special effects. You believed with every ounce of it he was Superman. And unfortunately for him, it's one of the reasons you didn't see him do anything else, because you immediately associated this man with Superman. He is Superman.
Question?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Sorry.
Are you asking Oliver a
Yes.
question? Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so Oliver, just from what I've been getting from like you saying true to the character, this and that, what's like your like limit on how much a character can be changed? Like in terms of like keeping it appropriate, like keeping it like relevant. Like I know Superman's kind of like a fragile character in that regard, but what, how far do you think they should have taken it with like a reimagining or reboot or whatever with Superman?
My personal opinion on comic book movies and adaptations is I almost rather they don't follow the story word for word, because I've read it and it'd be boring to go see. The most important thing for me in anything is staying true to the character, and I do think that Superman is still a relevant character today. You know, he is the best, he aspires to be the best, and he inspires everyone else to try and be the best person they can be. You know, I still think it's relevant today. If anything, I think it's more relevant today.
Okay. Would you like a response, or it's good?
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay. Next, Matt has a question.
All right.
Matt Ryan, camera back.
It's kind of I guess I don't want to make it a two-part question, but I see what's going on with the Batman movies and now the Superman movie, kind of a parallel to what's going on in the comic industry as far as the content getting more serious. Do you feel like that is the right step for today's movie-going / comic reading audience, or should we go back to the Michael Keaton, Christopher Reeve superheroes? Like, I see parallels in these things. Where is it better? And is it going in the wrong direction? You know, is it going in the wrong direction, or was it wrong to begin with?
So, I have no problem with realistic movies. You know what, Superman Returns was just not full of action. You know, it wasn't that it was not a serious movie. I think you can have a serious movie, and I don't have a problem with them trying to modernize it from that perspective. I have a problem with them stripping away the ideals of what makes a hero. You know, at the end of the day, you tell a fireman or a policeman their top priority is saving lives. You know, so I think your heroes should be fictional, should mirror the same thing.
I think like the whole comics and movies thing is, sure they'll mix together in some sort of fashion where they'll use like a current trend that's in a comic or vice versa. But as far as like the realism goes, like I think Batman did it okay, because like we already got like a taste of like the flashiness and the gothic style, like the over the top like style. But I just think like, I mean, yeah, Superman's not gonna be realistic. Like we can't latch a jetpack on him or jet boots or something. But I think it did. Man of Steel did have that tinge of the, like I said, the weight of his powers and like the realism of how people would deal with that. Just the way people reacted to when Zod was coming down, and how like the catastrophe was felt. And yeah, so I can deal with realism as long as like it's something we've been deprived of for a while. I think in Superman's case, I think it needed that. So.
Who's got the God question?
Another one in there.
Let's see.
And we'll show off Zach's artwork for the moment.
I don't use my words.
Here, you can bring them
I don't
up.
think it's
Yeah, bring
in
them up to me. I'll see.
Yeah,
And bring
it's
up that
not-
other one as well. Thank you. And if it's not here, that means one of you guys is holding it.
This
And-
one?
Yes.
Brittany, please approach the bench.
Brittany, I understand that you've written a question you'd like to ask.
You are holding back evidence?
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Brittany, by the way.
Thank you, Brittany.
Okay. And the reason that I want this question now is just following up on the last question about the realism and everything else. I don't think that there's any debate that there was a lot of Christian symbolism throughout the movie, and Superman portrayed in a whatever Christ-like fashion. So we don't need to go into whether it was there. We know it was there. But the question, and Mason, you can start it, is: was it appropriate or was it over the top?
I thought it was appropriate given. Now, I will admit that Christopher Reeve, the first two Christopher Reeve movies, had that, like a trace of that. It just got bogged down by all the cheesy stuff, I thought. But with Man of Steel, like the serious tone and the gravity of the situation, I felt it was more appropriate, and I'm glad they add more visual cues and allusions to it. Especially in the scene where he's in the church and he asks the priest, like, what should I do? Should I reveal myself? And the priest just handles it yeah, sure, he's surprised at first that it's this alien being that these aliens are looking for, but he treats it like any other confession. He's like, yeah, do what your God tells you. And just like, even like the poses, like with Superman with his arms spread out, like even when he's underwater or when he's latches off that ship and goes down on Earth. Yeah, it just added to the seriousness, and I just felt, yeah, it's like it didn't get bogged down. It's still prevalent in my mind. Whereas like when I think of it in the original Superman movies, I can't even think of it because it's just goofy stuff.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, the original movies have it there. It's obvious, like I give to you my only son. You will be the best of them. I did feel that it was kind of forced a little bit more in this most recent movie. As Mason points out, the scene where he's detaching himself from the ship. I don't know. There's plenty of ways you can fly into space other than doing this backwards. That was a little over the top. But I mean, that's the tone for the movie, right? I felt for a lot of them, it's why be subtle when we can hit you over the head with a hammer. So, seems to be par for the course.
All right, I think we have other questions. You had one. Bring it up.
I'm loving a lot. And my question is, could Superman have done anything else besides killing Zod? Was it a lose-lose situation?
Good question.
Okay, why don't who start? Yeah, I asked you the Christian question first. So,
See, once again, the problem I have with this piece is not that Superman killed, it's so much as the way that they established the whole scene. It seemed very forced, it seemed very cheap to just all of a sudden say, after all these people around us are dead, that I care about this particular family of 4 over there. I didn't buy it. Like, if he had done someone that he cared about, like maybe Lois, I could see, okay, he's got a vested interest in these particular people whose lives are at stake. At no point during the movie do they really show you Superman loves life. It's not like he goes out of his way to prove how sacred it is. You're just told this through the tone of his villains. I believe very much that they could have showed actions that said Superman cares about life, and then it would have actually meant something. It just seemed forced.
Yeah, well, it's like I said earlier, just like given like how long Superman was fighting, he was getting exhausted, and he had it in his, like he had his arms around Zod's head. It's like, okay, it's like he already did declare war on my race, and he said he won't stop until he kills everybody. So I felt like it was necessary, and just the fact that, it would have been cool if like he sent him to the Phantom Zone or something, but I think that would be too reminiscent of the older movies. But and like I said, it was necessary for to punctuate like this new Superman by having him kill, and I just, like I said, it appealed to me in terms of what I was looking for.
Could I bring something up? I kind of figured
sure, Ryan.
In the film, all these times where he's like knocking over the buildings, it never really is his fault. It's always the other people that, like the IHOP. He was thrown into the IHOP by the super lady. What was her name?
Feora.
Feora, yeah. She was thrown into the IHOP, but then he was like thrown out, or what did they?
That was after he threw her into the gas station. Yeah.
And wait,
yeah.
what? And
yeah, the point is Superman is someone who goes out of his way to save lives. He does things to contain the situation. Once again, the Avengers was a perfect example of that. They outlined a game plan that says we're going to restrict damage to this small area. Saving lives is our priority. Superman didn't even look like he cared.
All right, we're gonna have a couple of rapid fire questions, meaning short one sentence answers or even one word answers. We'll start with you, Mason. Jenny Olsen, good idea, bad idea?
It wasn't even confirmed, so I can't even say that. It's a rumor.
Well, okay, but
Yeah.
clearly that was a character that was replacing
Okay, well,
Jimmy Olsen.
good idea, I guess.
You like that idea? What did you think? Creative character.
Unnecessary. I felt that you didn't really add much by having her in the story.
Did it lose anything for not having Jimmy Olsen?
No, it didn't. It just, the whole scenes involving Perry White and him didn't really seem to add much value other than we're trying to show you the man on the street view, which didn't really, I felt, work well.
Okay. Any more? No. Okay. Did Man of Steel need Lex Luthor?
No.
No.
No. Okay. Neither one of you feels like he's the integral part of that mythos. Okay. And this will be the last question because I think it really kind of sums up and it might be a little repetitive, but I'd like a real heartfelt answer from both of you because you both admitted to being fans of the character, so that's nothing going into this. Do you see, and we'll start with Oliver. Do you see the Man of Steel version of Superman as a kind of hero that people could aspire to or should aspire to?
Well, if you're comparing him to the alternative, which is the Christopher Reeves, then no. You know,
Okay.
I was appalled when I walked out of that movie.
Okay.
I felt, and partly because, right, it's the filmmakers, right? They were the ones
Sure.
who decided we need to have 1 million people die in this movie for I don't know what reason. It just, the whole thing seemed appalling to me.
Okay, let me just bring up a couple points that Mason brought up. Do you think that this Man of Steel is appropriate for our times? Do you think we live in times that are different than 1978, and that the characters could be or should be different?
I think that your media is very different. I think that comics, movies in general are a little bit darker in tone. Are times that much different than the 70s? Are they that much better or worse? I don't think so.
Okay. And Mason, the original question was, do you see this Man of Steel version of Superman as a model of heroism that you could or should aspire to?
Yeah, because I just think, like I said, it's the modern attitude, it's the modern tone, it's the modern way of thinking. I just think I can even bounce off like Oliver saying, like those people that are dying, like when Superman. I think it just adds to the realization, like we can't really save everybody. We can't really wrap everything up nicely, you know. I just feel like a Superman movie with a little bit of moral questioning or moral ambiguity, I think, is necessary. I think it's not something that's being explored in the Superman movies, not I can recall, but especially in some of the comics, though. Like I really was looking for that from the comics and the movies. So, yeah, but I think it was, like I said, I think all the grittiness, all the seriousness, it was necessary just to convey through, because I think that's how you kind of reel in the audience now. You can't have like Superman Returns already screwed it up. You can't have a joyful tribute to the Christopher Reeve movies because I don't think people were looking for that. So,
Okay. All right, we're going to move to closing statements. And who did the opening statement? That was Mason. So why don't... Well, I'll ask you. Do you want to defer or do you want to say first? Okay. Mason, you close. Okay.
So yeah, it's ever since I saw the when I first heard that Zack Snyder was going to do it and David S. Goyer was going to write, I'm like, okay, we'll see how it turns out. But when I saw that teaser, I went to the midnight showing of The Dark Knight Rises, and they showed that teaser, and I could just tell by the electric feel in the room, everyone was speechless. It was just something we hadn't seen. We saw the DC Comics logo. We were like, okay, it's DC, but what is it? And we just knew. We're like, oh wow, that looks great. So each subsequent trailer just got me more excited, and I just felt like it was almost like my dreams coming true. Just like, this is like a Superman I've been waiting for, and just like, I just can't wait to see it. So, admittedly, yeah, I just have I'm still after I walked out of it, seeing it, I was like, I might have hyped myself too much, but overall, looking back on it, it's a good movie. It just is what it was. Overall, was what I was looking for with my vision of Superman, of what I relate to more in the character, and And if people, and I have no problem with people not really digging it if it's not the Superman they grew up with, or it's not a Superman they can be tolerant of. I mean, yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's like a generational gap, you know? Lots of things get lost in that, so.
All right.
That's great.
Thank you.
So, I grew up loving Superman. I had a Superman beanbag. There's a picture on my mantle of me in a Superman uniform. My mom dressed like Lois Lane holding me. and you can attest to it. And when I tell you that because I'm telling you that I am nothing compared to some of the people that I went and saw this movie with. One of the guys I went to the movie with wore a Superman cape. The other guy that I went with, one of the other guys, his wedding song when him and his wife were being introduced is the John Williams Superman. I have never seen these guys so upset. Chris was ready to take off his cape and spit on it. Like, it was unbelievable. Jared was quiet for about 10 minutes. When we finally did get to the restaurant, I kept having to tell him not to use profanity because there were some children around. They got the character wrong. It's not a good movie. If you want to watch an alien invasion movie, so be it. But it's not a Superman movie, and I'm glad they didn't call it Superman.
All right. Well, that concludes our moderated portion, and I want to thank our two debaters. I think they both did a great job.
Let's hear it for 'em.
Thank you.